All that I'm asking is that before you buy this or this, you consider this. This is an $88 bicycle from Walmart. This is my wife's Tesla Model 3, recently wrapped. And this is the CSC City Slicker. The reason we've assembled all of these fine modes of transportation together today is to show the true spectrum that we have on the alternative energy market. The Tesla, of course, is very top of the line, high performance electric car. Your Walmart bicycle will get you down the road easier than walking, and somewhere nestled between the two is something that is both affordable, reliable, and actually really fun to ride. While on the City Slicker you won't be winning any drag competitions against the Model 3, you'll leave these guys in the dust all day long. I don't know, some joke about a baby between the two. With about 25 to 35 miles of range depending on how you drive it, and a full electric drivetrain, top speed of around 45 miles an hour, this is a perfect urban commuter. I drive this to work every day. You can charge on a regular 110 outlet. It's just a clean package, and for the price point of $2,500 brand new, you can't beat the specs on this thing. It's really, really well built for the money. If you haven't seen my first two videos about the City Slicker, please check those out here, and don't forget to subscribe if you like this kind of content and want to see more. If you can get over the cheesy name, the City Slicker is a really great motorcycle for the value. It sits pretty low to the ground, handles really well, and is an absolute joy to ride. Now let's take a look at some of the controls and displays and that sort of thing on the City Slicker. You got your key that goes in right here, then your instrument panel has a little startup sequence. You got a little park light that I'll talk about here in just a second, but I want to showcase something that's interesting to this electric motorcycle, and that is that the throttle will not operate until you have the kickstand up, which I thought was a pretty cool safety feature. Also, there's a reverse on this motorcycle, which is pretty handy for getting out of parking spots, and something that's pretty unique to electrics, I believe. Next, I'll show you one of my favorite parts of this motorcycle, and that's this fake gas tank storage area. It's really big. It'll fit the charger, some gloves, extra pair of like waterproof pants, vest, that sort of thing. Just really a lot of space on a pretty small motorcycle. As you might expect with a modern tech-savvy motorcycle, this bike comes standard with LEDs in the rear, LED blinkers in the front, yet they left a halogen bulb on the front headlight. My biggest complaint. The drivetrain of this motorcycle, of course, has a 3.2 kilowatt motor on the rear, but it's a belt drive that sits in the mid-body. It also comes with adjustable rear suspension. You can remove the battery on the CSC City Slicker, although it's not an easy process and should only really be done if you have no other option. But I'm showing it here in real time. This took me about a minute and a half, requires a Phillips head screwdriver and a little bit of muscle power to get out of there. Battery weighs about 35 pounds, but it's pretty easily portable since it has two handles to carry it around with. You'll be happy the battery is actually portable when you break down in the Burger King parking lot because you ran out of juice on the way home. Running out of power is something that has only happened to me once, and it was literally because I was seeing how far the bike would go. I was driving down the road and making sure I had plenty of places to stop that would have 110 outlets when I got stranded. But here's a little bit of the riding speed. Here I'm going about 40-45 miles an hour, going kind of with the flow of traffic, and I'm slowing down just a little bit because I have a turn coming up ahead. But I wanted to show you some of the first-person views of the motorcycle. Handles really, really well, has excellent stopping and cornering ability. The lights are very visible to other traffic, and it can even handle some pretty rough terrain, a little bit of light off-roading with the suspension that it has, and you'll see that as we come up here. This route is actually the route to the local motorcycle training track where I took my class to get my endorsement, and it's actually kind of a fun skill set to go from gravel to dirt, sand, and grass on a motorcycle. I think it's something you should practice if you ride a lot, just to get used to varying terrain. Now in the next part of this video, I'm going to be showing you a little bit of the maneuvers that we actually did during the motorcycle course. I'm going to show you the Street 500 as well that we trained on, and bottom line, I have to say that this bike handles so much easier than larger motorcycles. And the fact that it's electric just means that the throttle control is really smooth. Not having to worry about gearing means that as you shift over different terrain or you make different kinds of turns, you don't have to worry about what gear selection you need to be in. All the power you need is right there, and finding the speed you need to travel at is as simple as a twist of the wrist. So here we are pulling up to the track. It's a big asphalt section, but it's kind of a fun little ride going over the off-road terrain to get there. So these are the Harley Street 500s. They're about 500-pound motorcycle. I thought they were a little big for a first-time rider, but the course was pretty fun and I learned a lot. All right, so we're out here at the track. This is where I learned to ride the Harley Street 500. And essentially what we have here are a bunch of different obstacles. We got S-turns, we got U-turns, perimeter turns like right in front of me. I'm just gonna kind of show you how much easier it is on this electric, really lightweight bike than it was in that big Harley. We'll start off right here with the U-turn. So the idea with this is you come into the box on one side, you look and cut hard left, clutch control or throttle control in my case, look and cut hard right, and then you come out of the box. I had to basically use the whole box on the Street 500. Next up we'll do a little swerve demo. So I'm going to keep it in eco mode for this one, then I'll show you power next. So I'm going to accelerate to the white line, level off velocity, and then swerve at the dots to avoid the little white box. So accelerate, level off, little swerve. Come around to the other one, and I'll show you what that looks like in the power mode on the CSC. We stop in the box, you just go full throttle, whoa, level off, swerve. You get a little more acceleration, but your top velocity is not too much different by the time you get to the swerve. All right. At low speeds, the power mode's pretty difficult to control, so everything's gonna be done here in eco. On the S-turn, we start here. We just kind of go into the turn. The throttle control, keeping your head up, all that stuff. This was very, very easy on this bike. This is one of the tougher ones that I had on the Harley. Come over on this side, same thing. Get a little velocity going this time now though. Keeping those head up. Oh, overturn just a little bit. Right there. Next little thing is the perimeter turns. So here we would come to a stop between the dots. You're essentially going to make a hard right, avoiding these two dots over here. So keeping the head up, cut the handlebars, and away we go. Next little guy is called the Peanut. And it's this big track here. It's got a straightaway, two essentially hairpin 180 turns, and then a little S in the middle. So we're going to start on the end of this turn going clockwise. I'm going to keep it in eco mode. I'm going to try to not drag pegs. No need to brake. Pretty much just using the throttle to enter the turn. And then we're going to accelerate in the straightaway. Both brakes going into the turn. Off the brakes, on the throttle, and off we go. So much faster. There's a peg drag. So I'm gonna try and do this about the speed we did in the class, and maybe that's here. We got up to like 18, then we hit the brakes. And this turn was pretty much still in second gear, going around. And then I just kept a pretty constant velocity here where I didn't have to use brakes that much. A little braking going into the turn, and then around. And that blows away the performance I was doing in the class. So now I'm going to show you what I can do with this guy. So we'll get off here. I'm going to keep it in eco mode, and I'm going to turn to where I can drag the pegs. And the pegs on this bike come right up, so it's not really an issue. I'm not really hurting the asphalt or the metal. But I just want to show you how much more control I have on this bike with just the throttle control and a much more nimble frame. Here I'm having to use the rear brake to kind of get my entry speed on the turns. Lots of lean, hitting about 22 before I have to brake for the entry here. Keeping it in tight, throttle on midway, and gone. Always want to drag on that one. Give that dragging. You can drag pegs on this real easily. If I limit that, my turn speed is much, much slower. About there is about as far as I can go. Ah, there it is. They wouldn't like that in the class, that's for sure. So we'll close out the video with some city riding. And as a reminder, if you're operating a motorcycle, you should always wear protective gear and helmet and not be like this Floridian I was up next to at the street light. So if you're looking for an affordable way to get around town, look no further than the City Slicker. This bike fits perfectly into a niche market where it's cheaper than a lot of electric bicycles, yet has all the performance you want of an urban or suburban commuter. And heck, for this price point, I could have a second one downtown for the ride home. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you compromise at its very finest.